Hello, this video is going to be about the lunar eclipse and the planetary transits of July. So this past month of June furnished us with a very tense energy and even made us feel like we were moving backwards in a way. June would have certainly been the climactic month of the year for 2020. So to summarize the energy that we are coming out of for the month of June, we had a partial lunar eclipse in Scorpio, Jyeshtha Nakshatra, and a solar eclipse in Gemini, Mrigashira Nakshatra. From the 17th through the 25th, we also had 4 out of 5 planets retrograde. However, Venus finally stationed in her direct motion on the 25th. So with all of this, there were a lot of reversals, changes, and pressures, both collectively, socially, and individually. At the end of June, on the 29th, Jupiter backed into the sign of Sagittarius from Capricorn sign during his retrograde motion. So we are starting off the month of July with Jupiter having newly returned to his ruling sign. He joins K2 that's already been sitting in Sagittarius. This means we are given an opportunity to revisit what we believe in, what authorities or teachings we are really paying attention to, what we're listening to right now, and to dissect and remove any teachings or philosophies that really are no longer serving us or that are no longer relevant to us. So for the month of July, we still have Jupiter and Saturn retrograde throughout the entire month. If you want to hear about these planets retrograde more in depth, please check out the monthly forecast video I made for June, which was all about the retrogrades. And I shared in detail about how Jupiter and Saturn retrogrades really affect us, which the interpretations are still applicable for us throughout the month of July. Mercury will remain retrograde until the 12th, and really retrogrades are times that are best used for introspection, internal processing, and going within. Past issues can resurface now, and this gives us an opportunity to reflect upon those things, to clearly see the patterns that we are engaging in that, again, no longer serve us and we're ready to let go of. So this is the benefit of a retrograde. We get to rework and use the opportunities that are presented to us to change how we are really going to move forward. Honestly, this planetary energy still can be a bit draining, but the good news is that we're coming off of the eclipse season. So the apex of the intensity will now begin to wane and start to cool down for the second half of the year. Early on this month, we have a full moon lunar eclipse. This occurs on the 4th of July at 9:44 p.m. Pacific time. This is the US Independence Day holiday, so there will be more than fireworks occurring in the sky this night. The uniqueness of this eclipse is that it's the second eclipse that's bookending the solar eclipse that happened in the month of June. So usually we only have one lunar eclipse and then 2 weeks later we have a solar eclipse. But this year we have 2 lunar eclipses on either side of that solar eclipse. So last month's was a partial lunar eclipse where both nodes and the luminaries were in different signs. This month it will be a full moon eclipse with both the nodes and the luminaries occupying the same sign. Okay, so these are the major important transits of the month. Additionally, we have some minor transits occurring, like on the 15th of July when we have the solar ingress into the constellation of Cancer. We also have on the 20th the new moon Amavasya in Cancer. And then also we have 3 planets that are changing nakshatras. So on the 16th, we have Mars moving into Uttara Bhadrapada. On the 23rd, we have Venus moving into Mrigashira. And then on the 25th, Jupiter will be moving into Purva Ashada. The highlighted dates of activity will be on the 3rd and 4th, the 12th and the 15th and 16th, the 20th, 23rd, 25th, and the 29th of July. So, okay, let's go ahead and look at some charts. I just wanted to mention first that for variety, I will be alternating between the North Indian, style chart, the South Indian style chart, and the circular style chart. Please keep in mind that all of these transit charts I will be showing are using the standard sidereal coordinates of Vedic astrology. Also, since I am located in Los Angeles, California, I will be using the local Pacific time zone for the calculations. If you are anywhere east of this time zone, some of the times and even the dates may change for the transit events, so please make adjustments according to your local time zone. Okay, so this is the first chart we're going to look at. The solar calendar month of July begins on the 1st. I have it set here for midnight. We have the month starting off with Mercury and the Sun exact at 15 degrees of Gemini in Uttara Nakshatra. Mercury is retrograde, as you can see here, and it's also combust at this degree of 15 degrees with the Sun. So this means that the effects of Mercury's mental processing, intellect, and cognitive processes are dissipated due to the radiance of the Sun burning up any productive or useful energy available that Mercury would normally provide. So we are actually nearing the middle phase of Mercury's retrograde with this combustion when that happens. So understanding others and communication may be extremely difficult at this time. It's best really to remain silent if you can and avoid useless conversation and utilize your listening skills during this time. Additionally, Mercury has just crossed over in front of the Sun, but because it's also moving towards Rahu, it's a bit mentally scattered. So overthinking really and the inability to concentrate will be the effect of this transit. So avoid any planning, okay, making any serious decisions at this time because there's really a lack of mental clarity available for us here at the moment. Just be observant and hang tight. So as far as the planetary alignments for July, these signs are pretty much where all the planets will occupy for the whole duration of the month of July. Except for the Sun and the Moon, they do end up changing signs throughout the month. So starting off the month, we have Surya in Mithuna Rashi. The Sun in Gemini remains here in the sign until the 15th. So for the entirety of July, we have Mercury and Rahu also occupying this sign, aspected by Ketu and retrograde Jupiter in Sagittarius. We also have Saturn remaining retrograde in Capricorn, Mars in Pisces, and also Venus in Taurus. Okay, so this is the next chart I wanted to go ahead and take a look at. The first chart, I used the North Indian style. This is the South Indian style chart. So the next event here is going to be on the 3rd of July when the moon is with Ketu. Jupiter is also now occupying Sagittarius since the 29th of June. So the moon is now here with Ketu and Jupiter. This is the first time that the moon will be joining Jupiter since it entered back into its ruling sign. This will be a day of heightened energy as far as philosophies and beliefs are concerned. It's a very good time to meditate and adhere to any spiritual practices, not only because it's an eclipse time and these are always the advised activities during times of eclipses, but especially when Guru is involved, we must really reconnect with our spirituality and a higher power at this time, which takes me to the next chart. Okay, so once again, we have a North Indian style chart. This is the July lunar eclipse chart that we're looking at here on July 4, 9:44 p.m. Okay, so this is again Pacific time. The full moon is between Jupiter and Ketu up here. We can see that it's in the sign of Sagittarius Rashi in Purva Ashada Nakshatra. Ketu is in Sagittarius, Mula Nakshatra, opposing the Sun and Rahu in Gemini Rashi. Rahu is in Mrigashira Nakshatra, and the Sun is in Ardra Nakshatra. The outlet of this energy will emanate where the moon is located in Purva Ashada Nakshatra. This is otherwise known as the invincible star. There is a tenacity and intensity with this star that brings about skill. in the ability to improve one's circumstances. There is an invigorating energy to be fearless and confront whatever needs changing concerning your philosophies and beliefs, since this is the sign of Sagittarius. What may be heightened for us is the strong sense for justice and righteousness in the world and also in our personal lives. So aggressive temperaments will have to be kept in check, as there can be an overzealous effect that this nakshatra may be stimulating for us. The next chart I want to look at is the Mercury direct chart on the 12th. This occurs at 1:26 a.m. Pacific time, where Mercury stations at 11 degrees and 21 minutes of Gemini in Uttara Nakshatra. The day that Mercury stations, we see the moon is with Mars. This means that there will be a surge of energy wanting to rush forward, although mobility will still be a bit slow as Mercury is stationed. It has sort of this crystallizing effect where nothing is really happening. Nothing is moving forwards or backwards. Everything's just kind of still. So with the moon and Mars together, there will be an impatient desire to act and really see results immediately. Whether or not those results will come immediately, we will have some sort of impatience that day. So there may be a general frustrated energy with delays where people want to have those immediate results, but we will have to wait a couple days to really see it come through as Mercury adjusts to move forward in its forward movement. So basically there will be a lot of restless motion with not a lot of movement or progress. So it's okay, just be patient, give it a couple days. You will hear back from that person. You will get the answers you need, and you will get the results of whatever you are wanting to accomplish. From the start of July up until this point on the 12th, all of the classical themes concerning Mercury retrograde are really at the forefront. So its energy is amplified, also being with Rahu. Mercury, as we know, is all about communication, mobility, commerce, trade, technology, that sort of stuff. So it's really common to have misunderstandings, miscommunications, missed appointments, missed schedules, and really like the timing is just off for things. So there will be a confusion as to what we were hearing, seeing, and understanding. Really, our logic is being affected in a way that things don't really make sense at this time. What we thought we knew was either incorrect or we are missing information. We're having like an incomplete picture of the story here. So also, like most Mercury retrogrades, memories from the past will resurface. Okay, so people we haven't heard from for a while will reemerge. That's all kind of standard classic Mercury retrograde stuff. So it's really ideal for the first half of July to do some writing, maybe reflecting, listen to music, possibly create something positive, meditate, pray, be still, right? Stillness is key. Listen. So receive information and listen twice as much as you speak. That's really how to use this energy the best. So from the 12th then onward, all the things around communication, mobility, commerce, trade, and technology will begin to run more smoothly, and glitches can really be worked out at this time. Okay, so just quickly, I want to show this chart. On the 15th, we have the solar ingress into Cancer. So this is Karka Sankranti, when the sun moves into the constellation of Cancer. This occurs at 10:16 p.m. Pacific time. In other parts of the world, it will be earlier in the day on the 16th. Okay, so the sun is at 0 degrees, 0 minutes of Karka Rashi. This is also a waning moon phase, as we see the moon is behind the sun with Venus in Taurus. Okay, so this event marks the end of the 6-month Uttarayana period, otherwise known as the observance of the northern movement of the sun. So on this date, we have the beginning of the Dakshinayana. This marks the next 6-month period for the southern movement of the sun. The significance of this mythology is that the 6-month Uttarayana period marks a single day for the gods, while the 6-month Dakshinayana period marks a single night for the gods. So the human Earth year is broken up into a 24-hour period for the gods. So therefore, we are moving into the gods' night towards the darker months in the second half of the year. Okay, for the next chart, we will look at the movement of Mars, which is now at 16 degrees, 40 minutes of Pisces on July 16th at 3:02 p.m. For these next few charts, even though it's not actually a traditional Indian style chart, I wanted to show you the circular style chart so you can actually see the nakshatras around the rashis. So inside of the wheel, we do have the 12 solar signs, and then we have the secondary layer around the outside, which is the 27 lunar signs, or the nakshatras, then displayed here. So what I wanted to show you is that Mangala is moving from Uttara Bhadrapada into Revati Nakshatra. This will shift the energy to really evolve into more of spiritual warrior type themes. This can be battles over philosophies. Within the first few degrees of Revati, this is the Sagittarius Navamsha, which is ruled by Jupiter. And that's all about principles and beliefs. So it's really important to refrain from fanatical ideology or a tendency to get, carried away and just cause pursuits. So anything that's about right fighting or just cause type things, it's like kind of hold back on that, because Mars can be a bit aggressive in this area. Mars is always looking for a battle to fight. So also, since Mars brings challenges, we will see that travels can be a bit challenging at the moment too. Of course, with Mars in Pisces, he has been aspecting Mercury and Rahu, even when he was in Uttara Bhadrapada. So this actually created a frustration with plans. It kind of added fuel to the fire with that Mercury retrograde and the solar eclipse that we saw. So it just brought extra contention and just extra tension there with Mars aspecting that by Drishti. So we do now see that travel plans are really not the most supported at the moment. So the next event of July will be on the 20th, when we have the new moon Amavasya in Karaka Rashi. Chandra and Surya will be at 4 degrees, 18 minutes of Cancer. The dark moon is not a time for manifesting your dreams. It's a time for going within and having self-understanding. So whatever house Cancer is located in your chart will indicate the new beginning for whatever that house represents. So for example, if it's in the 11th house, as it is in this chart, like for Virgo Lagna people, they can make new friends. There can be seeds planted for gains over the next 30 days. They can get affiliated with new groups, associations, networks, affiliations, etc. If this happens to be in the 12th house, for example, for Leo Lagna people, this would be a good time to tie up loose ends and finish up things to bring to conclusion. So it's also a good time to focus on adjusting your sleep schedule over the next 30 days and so on. I'm not going to go through all of the signs. This is just an example of what new energy can now be commenced regarding whatever house Cancer represents in your chart. So because the new moon is exactly opposite retrograde Saturn at 4 degrees, this is certainly going to feel more like a Saturnian themed new moon. So getting serious about a new cycle that will have long-term effects is really at play here. So again, it's a good time to initiate things, to bring things to conclusion, as Saturn is a minimalistic sign. It tends to be all about just sort of the essentials. So it's a good time maybe to clear up clutter, things you don't need, get rid of things. Also focus on new work strategies, okay? And maybe resume more discipline, structure, and work responsibilities at this time to then act upon when the moon begins to go in its waxing phase. So activities that will nurture you, because it's in Cancer, and nurture you and your needs for the long term are really favored right now. This would be the beginning phase of any long-term commitments and decisions, especially now that Mercury is direct. It's a really good time to make decisions, and you will have a lot more sober clarity around the things that you are going to be starting from now. Okay, so there's just a couple more charts here I wanted to look at. The next chart here, we will look at Venus into Mrigashira Nakshatra. Venus is now at 23 degrees, 20 minutes on July 23rd at 7:31 a.m. It's in this sign of Taurus still. So here I wanted to show you Venus moving from Rohini to Mrigashira Nakshatra within this sign of Taurus. So this nakshatra is ruled by Mars. So this will shift the energy from a more sensitive, laid-back energy to evolve into a more curious and restless nature. So within the first few degrees of Mrigashira is the Leo Navamsha, ruled by the Sun, which is all about self-expression and creativity. So there's a lot of fire and drive that's expressed in the first degrees of Mrigashira, which again is a fiery Mars-ruled nakshatra. Venus represents creativity, art, relationships, love, desires, etc. So in this area, we will feel our passions really stoked. There's definitely a curious nature that is being introduced here this month, starting on the 23rd, regarding Venus and Venus-related matters. So there can be a drive for more dating, for meeting new people in general, and just being social, right? So there can also be even a promiscuity that's seen here, although that won't necessarily be the case for everyone. It's just an example with Venus and Mrigashira. Either way, we will see that there's more movement and energy for us to pursue Venus-related activities, whether it be around relationships or money. Okay, so the last chart I want to show in this monthly transits video is going to be the movement of Jupiter, which is now retrograde at 26 degrees, 40 minutes of Sagittarius on July 25th at 11:31 p.m. So I want to show you Jupiter moving from Uttara Bhadrapada back into Purva Bhadrapada. These nakshatras are a pair, otherwise known as the stars of early victory and later victory. The Purva Bhadrapada nakshatra, though, is a bit more intense, as it's really consumed within the whole fire sign of Sagittarius. This nakshatra is ruled by Venus, and the degrees that Jupiter enters into is within the Scorpio Navamsha, ruled by Mars. So, okay, Jupiter here enters a more mysterious and secretive part of this nakshatra, expressing its truth-seeking pursuits in a way that overturns what is covering hidden truths. So it's returning to teachings of the occult and foreign and cultural ideologies as well. It's important to not have this win at any cost sort of mentality. Considering other people's perspectives will be essential for seeing things objectively and correctly at this time. So be cautious not to make any cemented opinions or expressing too adamantly your views, as there is resistance when you yourself experience this coming from other people. So the best way to use this energy is just to practice what you preach and mind your own business, basically. There can be really a deep transformation and spiritual growth that comes from this transit of Jupiter within the Scorpio Navamsha. Okay, so for everyone this month, the general theme for July will be to control your passions and to examine your belief system. Be introspective for the first half of the month and take calculated actions for the second half. It won't be the easiest time for travel. There will be sensitivities that come up with the lunar eclipse. It will bring change to circumstances, so please be prepared for that. And also the sensitive emotions can come up from the new moon in Cancer as well. Okay, so focus on improving your own circumstances and commit to some new work schedule or new routines. Better yet, even a new discipline to integrate for your spiritual path. Everybody have a great month. If you like this video, leave a like. If you like my content, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.